I was wondering if we should move it maybe because we're missing people who are eligible
Okay,
for the
so
offices.
we'll
So
just move
maybe
to the
just
second item and we'll come back to this.
that's what I'm gonna suggest.
So Katie, I think our next item is community membership appointments process update.
Yeah, so we talked about when we changed the bylaws, we adjusted the community representative seats and kind of moved them from directly appointed by each commissioner to more broadly, more broad selection of members. So part of that, though, we have not, we needed to adjust the the board application to accommodate that. And so we did not have that in the last meeting. And so Robin Crabtree has been really helpful with iCompass getting that adjusted. So I wanted to just kind of share this. I think we will be able to no. Okay, so we have 3 community seats. One has been designated as kind of community member at large, and then 2 that are designated as individuals who have been impacted by the criminal justice system in some form of like very broad, like we intentionally left that very broad direct impact. The board application process, so we're moving kind of where folks for CJCC would go through the same board application process as our other boards. Our executive committee, if we're able to sit one today, hopefully, would review those applications, and then we would work with Sarah to get those the recommendations and things provided back to the county commission. County commission is ultimately still who appoints these folks. All 3 of these seats are still 2-year terms beginning in February of the odd numbered years. So that gives us time between the election cycles for us for membership and then kind of the new year of commission items in January to seat these folks ideally by February. This year we may be tight on that. And so we just need to know that going into this. So this was a slide that we talked about last time. This is not, this is my best attempt at trying to show y'all the process. So this link, so we'd go to Douglas County, the board application for CJCC is the same as it is for all. On the county's landing page, I believe it's really front and center, boards and councils, and then go to board application and then apply. It looks like this over here, this picture. There's some more stuff up here. But what we've added is specific to the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council is this box here. We really need folks to identify which seat they're applying for so that as the executive committee is kind of reviewing applications, we know who is interested in what. And then I anticipate the executive committee would would reach out and talk with applicants. So I think that's what a lot of other boards do. I'm totally making guesses here. But so you don't have to share everything, but we would like at least some kind of information about kind of which seat you're interested in and how kind of what some of the impacts are. So there's an additional prompt here at the bottom for the directly impacted seats. There's also an option if people are interested to upload a file here. So we've had people in the past doing like letters of interest so they can write a letter and upload that, any of that. If that's a preference, you don't have to do that. There's a question here, why would you like to serve? This is a place too that can capture any of the information about how you've been impacted by the system, what your interest is in the CJCC and in the particular seat that you're applying for. All of this information, when you hit submit, which is further on down the application, Robin gets that. She's sending the process right now. She's sending those to me, and then I'm collecting all of them and will be providing those to the executive committee when we have that. Timeframe wise, my thought now that we launched, we've had a couple test runs of this process. I think it works okay. I have not heard any issues with this process. So we now that this is like up, we can accept my thought would be to accept applications through January 13th. So that gives the executive committee time. It's a little over a month of time for folks. And then those last couple weeks of January, I can work with the executive committee to start whatever that review process is going to look like. And then, like I said, we'll just, big changes coming to the commission, to the county commission in January. So the executive committee, I will help them kind of coordinate with Sarah about getting that information back to the commission for appointments. Does this feel, I kind of feel like there were parts of this I just like unilaterally made some decisions about. So let's see. Okay. We didn't talk about this. No. So this, and I mentioned to Carrie Britt earlier today that this was going to be on, that we would walk through a little bit of this. We may need to do, I anticipate she and I will probably need to work together to do some more, focused, targeted kind of like actual information sharing about here's the process, here's where this is, here's why, all that sort of stuff. So I think that will be coming, but just a really brief highlight so for folks who are interested, and these slides will be posted to you after the meeting. And so that information, people can like go ahead and start if they have not already on the new application done that. So
Looks good.
so
Moving on, should we talk about the 2025 CJCC meeting logistics?
yeah, I just want to double check. I feel like I think at least the last couple years that I've been here, I just want to double check the last meeting of the year, that time, date, do we need to make any adjustments to those? We've moved to meeting on the even months. So our next meeting, if we stay with this meeting cadence, is in February. I think y'all this body has had this time, like the second Tuesday at 11 for probably a long time. So does this time still feel okay? I think about meeting location, and that sort of stuff. So if there are any changes like this, I just wanted to create a space for folks to kind of talk about. And this has been a change for us this year in this location. So they've been very accommodating to us as long as we're not activated in an emergency.
I would say that, this is Pam, I would say the membership that's probably the most concerning about time is the judge. And I don't know if 11 o'clock is too early, or I don't know. And I was curious too, if people felt the meeting length was appropriate or could be shortened, or what their preference would be. If they had a. I think
90 minutes is appropriate, or sometimes short. Pretty regularly.
Mhm.
Better.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the judge is pretty much been able to accommodate most of these.
Got it, but we need to speak up.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think you don't have a mic on.
Maybe be the. Katie, I don't know if those are really hooked in.
They're supposed to be.
I mean, generally the judges made it, but,
Yeah.
you know, so it's. And FYI, I guess I should say, I did get reappointed to the board from the city commission. So you stuck with me for another year.
Happy to have it. So it sounds like everything's status quo, good, okay.
Except look to go back to the commission room.
Hearing.
Right. To be determined when that is.
January.
So back to that.
Okay, so not here, did you get?
Definitely not here, but
Well, this building's, I mean, it's, yeah, it's gonna be right over there. The building's open for business.
I'm just not thinking of the.
Well, the parking's gonna be rough at the old courthouse too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, if you wanted to get better parking, you have to buy them.
Which then complicates the drive.
Yeah. Yeah, but, parking will become substantially limited starting in January.
Do we want to move on to the strategic plan, or do you want to go back to the first agenda item?
You guys kind of tell me which way is preferable for y'all. Um, Chris, Amy is not, so I did not know that though when I did the agenda. Christy, yeah, we can move Christy. Do you want to talk about go through strategic plan? We'll see if no. Okay. Okay, so hold on, let me go back and share my slides again. Is this still showing?
Yeah, you.
Okay. So some of this is similar to what y'all have seen. I just want to provide an update. So we have a work group that's been kind of helping navigate the process. So I've added here what since this group's last meeting, kind of they had a couple of meetings leading into planning for the survey that we distributed online, and then also the retreat. I did not put their meeting yesterday. I forgot. Medicine. I forgot yesterday's meeting, but they also met yesterday to kind of debrief after of the retreat, and then kind of talk about for them the timelines that Christy, Amy, and I, and like what will work for getting us from here to February to when we hopefully are adopting a strategic plan. So this is just the roadmap. We started this when we did the bylaws work groups. This is the same as y'all have seen before. Where we're for this project though, where we're at is kind of we had the retreat and we're initiating kind of drafting the plan based on the day and a half of last week that we met. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time. I'll let the work group members kind of talk if they want to add things, but because a lot of you all, both who are here and also online today, were at the retreat last week. So y'all remember probably what we did, but so we had a day and a half long retreat last Tuesday and Wednesday. I think if I counted correctly, we had 12 or 13 folks each day. And most people were there the whole time. So and similar to what the focus groups and when we've talked about this process being really kind of participatory and really dependent on input received from folks who were participating, the retreat last week was also as well. It wasn't just me and Christy and Amy kind of talking at folks and putting sticky dots on it. It wasn't that. It was really active and a lot of conversation and discussion. So we started on Tuesday with reviewing all of the results of the focus groups, the survey, and the data template that the tables that we had been able to fill out from across the system. So that kind of laid the groundwork going into lunch about like what we were going to do with that. So this is all the information that we had been able to gather and kind of formed the grounding of the next kind of activities. So we broke folks into small groups and we did a lot of various versions of SWOT analyses that kind of working towards identifying different priority areas based on all of those conversations. And then on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, that we spent a lot more of the time kind of saying, so if these are the priority areas, what does that mean for us? What are those, like, how do we get there? What does this entail? What do we need to do that? When are we going to do that by? So what we do not have right now is I do not have a draft of any of that because I'm still working on that. So, but we talked, kind of landed on these 4 focus priority areas for the 2025 through 2027 for the CJCC. So the first one is really enhancing kind of our system data metrics across kind of there's lots of places that we don't have information, lots of places we can kind of look at information differently. And the data template that JMI provided, which not all of you saw that, you only saw pieces of that if there was parts that was relevant to you. But come 2025, we'll all get familiar with what that looked like. But I think we have a good basis there for that strategy. We talked a lot about kind of the pretrial phase, which really starts at law enforcement contact through a case disposition. And there's lots of different paths at those cases, lots of decision points, lots of different outcomes, and potentially areas for us to dig into and look at differently there. So that's the second strategy that we had talked about. So enhancing existing pretrial processes. The third one, evaluating and maximizing our criminal justice resources. So that's very broad. It's kind of in depth. Thinking about not just our court, but those our other helping services and the programs that we offer for folks. How are we maximizing those? And if not, how can we do that better? There's more to that strategy, but that's a real simple thing. And then the fourth one, kind of thinking about how do we improve community education? And a lot of that is really about communication. What are we communicating? How are we communicating it? To whom are we getting really intentional about how do we share the work that you all are doing with the community? And does that feel work group member? Is that a good summary for folks? So the next step, so this is what we spent time yesterday with the planning work group. What we talked a lot about yesterday was kind of how do we go from that and all of the information that y'all provided last week to a plan that is fully developed that we can actually adopt and start following. Our goal is at our February meeting to ideally have something that the CJCC can adopt based on all of that. So the timeframes that we've laid out, I'll be getting an initial draft of all of the strategies and objectives that folks talked about to the work group before next Wednesday. They will give feedback. We are hoping to have that out to you all for your review on January 13th. And the ask and really, and we'll talk, or I'll put this in the email when I send this out in January, but we really, as y'all start to see how all of this has come together in that strategic planning format, we would ask, kind of thinking about how do you or your agency, where do y'all kind of fit in there? Is there something that you have resource-wise potentially that you have access to that maybe we don't didn't think about? Or do you have staff that are really interested in this particular topic and they might want to be part of that? But also thinking about, are these realistic? Are these achievable? Are the making sure that we're kind of not setting ourselves up for failure. But so you all will get this mid-January. We'd ask, and we'll remind folks, we kind of giving about a week for folks to take an initial look at this, and get feedback back to the work group so that they can have some time to sit with it, make adjustments, and then we would be getting a more final, hopefully, version back out to you all by the 31st of January, which is just before the meeting in February. So that's kind of the timeline that the work group kind of talked about and laid out to get us from here to there. We like to do things on quick time frames around here. Like this is just the theme of this project right now is quick turnarounds. So I would have most of my work group here. Do y'all have anything? Is there anything y'all would add or about that?
First, I thank you to all for able to participate. The big dedication time today to do that. So thank you for being a part of that. When we embarked on this, we knew we were embarking on a very aggressive process. A lot of places take a year or longer to do a strategic plan. We're trying to complete it in 4 months. And so I think we're going to come out with a good result. It's not going to be a perfect result. It's not going to be the best thing ever, but it's going to be the first thing that moves us forward in a more planful way as we do this work. And I just hope and wish that as we move forward, we know that that's the reality. It's not perfect, but we're going to learn a lot. So be really well prepared when we embark on this again in about 2.5 years, 2 years actually, start thinking about when you want to start planning the next one. So I fully appreciate the work, also the dedication of my other work group members for this and for leadership, Christy and Amy's involvement in this as well. I would add.
Thank you, Patrick. Judge or Jessica, do you have anything around that?
No, feel similarly. I think it's an aggressive pace, but it's still going to be very beneficial to just give us focus. It's not a final plan, it's an ongoing process. So feel good about it.
Anybody online and I would open it up too to folks who attended or any of the folks online too, if there's anything now that we've had, a little bit of time away, if there were different, thoughts or reactions, anything that you might want to share about that.
I'm looking forward to the synthesizing the data. I think that helps us internally and helps with the education part out to the community. So I think that's going to be a big part of the CJC lift, is the time and resources it's going to take to put that together, to translate all the different databases into a common language, but it's going to be worth it, helpful in a lot of ways. So hopefully that's the outcome of it. Anything else?
We're back to
We're
election.
back to
officers.
election. Okay. So we were waiting just for you, Judge.
Well, I apologize.
We're trying to make sure that we got 15. I
That's
feel like
more.
that's good. Okay. All right. So folks online, please sit tight till I start this agenda item because I need you as a quorum. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna. I should be prepared for this. So I need to go back to, I'm gonna stop sharing that and go back to the very beginning. Okay, so I'm gonna try not to spend a whole bunch of time on like rehashing, but these first couple slides are the same as the, like what we presented and talked about last month, just as like regrouping about, this is a new process for, this is a um, new officer, and their purpose as an executive committee is new for the CJCC. So, so these first couple slides are from the bylaws, from the, like just kind of summarized from the bylaws. So we have, so our officers, as a recap, what y'all will be electing today are 3 people. A chair, a vice chair, and then a member at large. The chair and the vice chair are our positional members. So basically everybody except community folks and our 2 commissioners. So if you're on the CJCC as a result of the position that you hold within the system, you are eligible for, and I have a whole slide of like with your names, who's eligible for these positions. The chair and the vice chair should be from different disciplines so that we're not front loading leadership as either heavy like all law enforcement, all court, all service providers. So we also will have that broken out as well. The election, we're electing to a 2-year term, eligible to be considered to be for a second consecutive term. So the terms for chair and vice chair are going to be December 1st of 2020 or January 1st of 2025 through December 31st of 2026. The member at large is the 3rd member of the executive committee. The member at large can be anyone. Right now, because we're in this transition period with our community member appointments, it's really just our positional members and Commissioner Finkeldine, and we'll talk about that when we get to that. When we get to that position. One of the other big differences between this position is it's just a 1-year term. But again, eligible to be for consideration. So this is a position that we would elect every December moving forward. The duties, y'all can read those about the chair and the vice chair, but thinking about the 3 folks that y'all are putting together, the executive committee is really providing kind of helping steer the ship of the CJCC. So they'll be working closely with me around developing meeting agendas, ensuring that everything that comes to the council is ready. So as we're looking at, as we start into some of these new strategies and work groups, making sure that y'all are getting updates that are accurate and timely and kind of keeping things on track. And they're really responsible for oversight of the governance of the body. I feel like what we talked about this was a slide from last time, so I feel like we talked about this. We're going to do one position at a time. Or elect one position at a time, starting with the chair, because whoever's elected as chair potentially impacts who's eligible for vice chair, and then do member at large. Anyone can make nominations. The nomination should be seconded, and the person who has been nominated needs to accept the nomination, because we should not be just like volunteering people to serve in these positions. And then after we've received all the nominations, then we'll do a vote. And I think what we talked about last time was just we're just going to let everybody vote. Like everybody's just voting this time. And then whoever gets the most votes is elected. And then we would I'll adjust on the screen the eligibility for the vice chair position and the member at large based on the other 2 elections. Should I bring them up online? I feel weird like sharing. Okay. Yeah, I did the one. Shared that last week. Yeah, there was things Lori needed to take care of last week.
We have the list
Okay.
of who's eligible.
So are y'all ready? Any questions about did I miss any? This is the first time I've also like done this process, so. So starting with the chair, and I probably should take off people who are not here. Obviously, if someone's not here, we're not gonna nominate them. But just of our list of our members, of our new membership, under the new bylaws, the current folks who would be eligible for chair would be Sheriff Armbruster, Chief Lockhart, Judge McCabery, not Judge Kopecki, since I don't think he's online either. Jessica Glendinning, Pam Weegand, Susan Binkelman, Patrick Schmitz, and Lori Alvarado. Yeah, she is. And so is Chief Lockhart is online too, I think. So I'm gonna stop sharing. Do y'all need that? Do I need to keep this list up? Because I kind of want to make sure I'm not losing the folks online too. So nominations are open. Go ahead, Sheriff.
I second. He's gonna go there too.
I'm sorry, we could not hear who was even nominated. We can't hear. Or I couldn't, sorry.
Sheriff nominated Jessica and Doris seconded. And so Jessica needs to decide if she's going to accept that nomination. Okay. Okay, so for folks online, and in case you missed that, so right, we have one nomination with Jessica Glendinning, or of Jessica Glendinning as chair. Do we have other nominations? Do I have to do a vote if we just go? Okay, so so if we close nominations for chair, all those in favor, okay, aye. Those opposed?
Aye, sorry, not opposed, 4.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. Okay, so I think the ayes have
You
it.
gotta give online people enough time to unmute. Sorry, it takes us a half second.
Any opposition? Okay, so congratulations, Jessica. Welcome.
Thank you, Jessica.
Okay, so hold on, let me update the slide. Or maybe I don't need to update it. Okay, so y'all are, I know y'all are smart. So for vice chair. Okay, so for vice chair, it is the same group of folks minus Jessica. So Sheriff Armbruster, Chief Lockhart, Judge McCabery, not Judge, still don't think I see Judge Kopecki online. Pam, Susan, Patrick, and Lori. So for vice chair, open nomination. Oh, yeah, sorry. This.
If she will accept, I'll nominate Susan Binkelman.
A second. I accept.
So, online folks, were y'all able to catch that? I want to make, okay, so y'all heard that. Other nomination? Vice Chair? No,
Hearing none.
hearing none, all in favor for,
Aye.
Aye.
any opposed, but I think the ayes have it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so that, I'm just gonna go just one more time, go back to the screen. So the member at large, so this is the 1-year position, to round out the, executive committee. So so anyone on this list is eligible, obviously except for our chair and vice chair. And, the city commission last week, reappointed Brad, formally to the CJCC for them for next year. So, so he's eligible in this, for this group, since they did that before we had these elections. So the floor is open here for everybody, plus everybody who we've previously thought about, and then Brad.
And I would just say that, this will be always kind of a difficult issue with county commission, because the county commission will not make kind of adjustments until late January, just because of their election cycle. So it's always gonna be one of those things that we potentially change seats every January.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stop sharing there. So for the member at large,
This Commissioner Reed, I would actually like to thank Commissioner Bradford today. Jim, I think it's been a really valuable member. And I also like the idea of having a representative member on the executive committee. Community members named. I think City Commissioner Finkeldow would fill that role well.
A second.
I guess I'll say it. As long as I can tell the sheriff and the judge what to do.
Anybody else so far?
okay, folks on the jaw catch that, are we with sound? Okay, so we have, for member at large, we have one nomination so far of Commissioner Finkeldye, in the member at large position. Any other nominations for consideration? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. So carries the motion. Okay, so to recap, the executive committee for 2025, Chair Jessica Glendinning, Vice Chair Susan Binkelman, and Member at Large Brad Finkeldye. Good? Okay. So Chris, part of when we engaged JMI in this round of contracting with to kind of help take the bylaws and into strategic planning, part of that also includes support of like getting this executive committee kind of like off the ground, because this will be new for the whole body. And so Christy, I believe it's probably Christy who will will stay on board with us to help over the next 6 months or so as we kind of adjust to this leadership structure. Is that
I'll
it?
finish up the meeting for you. Sure. I think we want to talk about, is there any other February meeting agenda items that we want to make sure we add? I know we're going to be talking strategic plan. Is there anything else we need to add that anybody can think of? Nope, nothing here. Want to provide an opportunity for CJCC members to provide any updates about their agency or have any open discussion. Is there anything anybody would like to update us about?
I guess I just have a question.
I would just like to say thank you for serving as the chair for as long as you did. So thank you for your guidance through this process. And I know you were sat in that chair a lot longer than you wanted to, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Shannon, do you think we'll have both the county commissioner and the appointees for the February meeting? I think.
Hi, you'll probably have the county.
You have the county commissioner appointment done for sure. I think it's just a question mark about the committee members. I think it's twofold. It depends on how many applications, if there are any by then to decide. And then it'll just be the first appointment of a 5-member commission. So depending on the new commissioner's sort of preference for vetting, I think we'll have some determination. I think it's possible. It's not guaranteed. You'll know who the commission is. I feel confident.
I would encourage though that to talk to folks that you know that might be interested in serving. And to encourage, like, if we share something on social media, that, folks share that as well, just to try to get, folks get their applications in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think our strategic plan is very controversial, but it would be nice to have
Sure.
the community members there vote on, or at least one, if we can make it happen. I understand it might not.
I can say that I'm committed to making it a priority.
Yeah.
And okay, that they're big hurdles.
Yes, I understand that.
There are questions or updates?
I don't have anything. I just want to take the opportunity to say, I really appreciate how many folks dedicated the time to the retreat last week. I regret not being able to be there with you all, but feel like it was a really productive process for my first so far. And excited to see what comes of it, and hoping that I will get to continue serving on the student and to share with both. But we'll see how that goes. So just in case this is my last, it's been a pleasure and watching, but hopefully I'll be able to do it back in our chambers as possible.
Thank you. We want to provide an opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone on Zoom who wants to make a public comment? Okay.
And if Rick Kagan is still on, Rick had something he wanted to share.
I'm moving him over.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I think you can hear me, right?
Yep, we can.
Thank you. I'll be brief, but I just want to say I'm part of a group that's working on issues related to pretrial detention. So I'm very interested in your work in this area, as well as what may come out of the Supreme Court panel that our district court judge has been appointed to. I have sent over to Katie to share with you an article from Christian Science Monitor related to fines and fees and how they relate to our jail population. So I hope you'll take a look at that. And also in the Bureau report, which you all received in 2023, there were recommendations about elimination or reduction of fines and fees. So certainly a topic that I hope you'll revisit at some point, along with other recommendations from the Bureau reports. Thank you very much.
Rick.
That does remind me, I mean, I saw that about Judge Hanley being appointed to the statewide committee. I assume there's a way for us to follow that and get the information they're getting, and, I'm sure they'll have data that we have to have, more statewide data and stuff. So I'm sure she'll share it, but I don't know how we plug into that. Someone might know how to plug into that better than I do, but it'd be good to be plugged into that.
Was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. We have an opportunity to, through the bids, the director of bids in Topeka is also on that group. And so I had reached out to Jessica too, like Jessica, I think lots of us, when we saw the membership, kind of did the same thing and went, oh. So I think between working with Judge McCabery and Judge Hanley, and then working with Jessica through Heather Cessna, there's opportunity to hopefully get follow that a little more closely than since it's closer to home. So
that was it for public comments.
No, we have one more person.
We'll go one more. Okay, thank you.
Kristen, I'm going to move you over as a panelist.
Kirsten, are you on? There you go.
Yep, slowly turning it on. Thank you all. I know that the various work groups, FTA and probation violations, were kind of put on hold while we were doing strategic planning. But is there going to be any opportunity for updates at the February meeting, or perhaps there aren't any? But I just wanted to voice that. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll kind of talk about it February.
yeah,
We did have updates at the last meeting as well. Would that be online? And we gave some updates in the last meeting. So folks could look at that from last meeting and we can talk about it again in February.
Yeah. Good idea, Sarah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else for the good of the order today? You have
But I don't
questions?
think the FTA and the group didn't meet.
I think 2 meetings ago.
Two meetings ago, yeah, last talk, so we don't have an update because we're waiting on the strategic plan. And certainly, I think all the discussion on the strategic plan was FTA would be part of that pre-trial part, so we'll get that, I think, folded in and have more of an update after that strategic plan.
Do we have anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, this meeting's adjourned. Our next meeting is February 11th and 2025, location to be announced. Thank you, everyone.